In this video, I'm going to be addressing a very common question that I get from prospective clients and existing clients around cost per clicks. Everyone is so concerned about cost per click in Google Ads. They keep seeing the prices raise up and up and up, and then they start freaking out. And that's why I titled this, my notepad here, Are You Afraid of High CPCs? Because most people are, but I'm going to challenge you to think differently on that. But before then, my name is Michelle. I'm the founder of Level 28 Media, and I help local service-based businesses generate leads from Google Ads. So if you're interested in an audit or a consultation and you're spending at least $2,000 a month and potentially looking for managed services, check out the link below and I'd be more than happy to have a consultation with you to see if working together is a good fit. Now let's go ahead and dive into high CPCs and some things that I want to address. The first thing I wanted to say is I've been working in this industry for over a decade, and what I'll say is cost per clicks always increase every year. I see anywhere from 10 to 20% each year. There is inflation that happens. And the big question is, are you able to keep up with the inflation with the results to support it? Now, in doing this, the inflation in CPCs does vary per industry. It's because Google's manipulating something on the back end, and of course they're not going to say. And then number two, there's competition entering the auction that's driving up the overall cost per click. What I want to challenge you with thinking about here is, instead of worrying so much about cost per click, at the end of the day, your goal is to generate as many qualified leads that turn into customers for you. So our goals should be to generate, leads at a reasonable cost per lead where we are profitable, and also be able to calculate our customer acquisition costs. What I like to tell my clients is, don't be so concerned or fixated on high CPCs, because there's only so much that you can do. And I will address what you can do to work on trying to bring that down. But don't be so focused on CPCs as your main KPI, because yes, CPC is a factor that should be looked at, but not something that you should be optimizing towards, because you're never going to be able to bring it down. There's going to be a floor, and you're never going to be able to get below that. I would challenge you to think, when you're looking at trying to decrease your CPCs, is how can I generate the lowest cost per lead where I can hit a profitable enough goal where it makes sense for customer acquisition. And I'm going to leave it at that on that topic. But really, talking about high CPCs, I've seen CPCs anywhere from like 50 cents. And I do have clients right now that actually run campaigns where it's 50 cents and it's very unsaturated market. And I've worked in industries where CPCs are as high as $800 a click. So it's every click counts in that industry, and for that it was personal injury. So as you can imagine, my heart would drop to the floor when Google would spend, and I was using smart bidding on keywords that were not relevant or not quite relevant to what I was looking for, because I allowed smart bidding to do its thing. Now, you should still pay attention to CPCs, but of course it's not something that you need to be focused on for your main KPI. Your main KPI should be qualified leads, cost per lead, and your customer acquisition costs. But what can you do to combat high CPCs? I've got 9 things here I'm going to list out. Make sure your budget's going to highest qualified traffic. Number 1 is exact match keywords. Now, if you've been doing this for a while, this may seem a little bit counterintuitive, because exact match keywords tend to be the more expensive keywords out of the 3 different match types: exact, phrase, and broad. But if you're focusing all your efforts on exact match keywords, you don't have to worry too much about spending outside of the keyword intent, or basically spending on irrelevant terms, because you're keeping things tight and you're not allowing Google to color outside the lines. So when you're using exact match, yes, it's going to be more expensive than phrase and broad match, but you're going to be able to keep things under control. Second, negative keywords. You don't have to be so concerned about negative keywords if you are using exact match, but you still should be paying attention to your search terms report. Regardless, you should still be adding negative keywords. Any match type you're using, exact, phrase, and broad, you need to be adding negative keywords, but especially if you're using broad and phrase, you're giving Google lots of freedom to color outside the lines and capture traffic that Google may deem that's qualified for you, but it's really not. So if you want to work on bringing down those CPCs and eliminate bad quality traffic, work on adding as many negative keywords as possible and have a cadence for doing so. Number 3 is improving your quality score. I know I've mentioned on this channel that quality score doesn't matter anymore. It's a vanity metric, and I still truly believe it. But there's 3 factors that go into quality score that I believe are important. You don't need to harp on the quality score as it's the main KPI, just like what I said with CPCs. Your quality score, as I mentioned, is made up of your ad relevance, landing page experience, and click-through rates. So work on those things. You can pull in those columns within Google Ads and look at your ad relevance, whether it's rating you as poor. Okay, well then I need to go fix my ads and make sure that they are matching, the keywords are in my ads and they are in tightly themed ad groups. Okay, my landing page experience is bad. What can I do to optimize my landing page experience? And click-through rate. What can I do to improve my click-through rate? Am I leveraging all the right amount of assets? If you work on improving your quality score, your CPC, you should be rewarded with lower CPCs. But it's not going to be like a dramatic amount. You're not going to see like a 50% discount if you're using if you have the highest quality scores, but you will see somewhat of a discount. So don't harp on it too much, but it's still something that you should look at as a diagnostic tool. The other thing I want you to look at is dayparting and location targeting. Do you need to be on every single hour of the day, every single day of the week? If you know your sales team can only answer the phone Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, then you might just want to consider having your ads on during that time and during those days of the week. And then also when it comes to location targeting, do you need to be serving an entire state, or could you be focused on smaller pockets of geography, whether it's the more affluent zip codes if you're trying to attract more affluent buyers? So do keep that in mind as you're building that out. Another thing is device targeting. Do you need to be on for a tablet? Probably not. It really depends on what your goals are, but typically I don't really see the best leads come from tablet. And then mobile and desktop traffic, you can use different bidding strategies or bidding approaches to bid up or bid down on specific devices depending on their performance. Another thing that you might want to also pay attention to is audience targeting. Do you need to be targeting people that are 18 to 24 years old? If you're selling elderly care services, 18 to 24-year-olds are likely not your ideal client persona. If you're selling elderly care services, you probably want to be targeting the elderly folks or their children. So you can eliminate that group in Google Ads. Another thing is with your bidding strategies. I'm a strong proponent for bidding strategies. I am also a strong proponent for manual CPC too in certain cases. But if you are using smart bidding strategies, then you want to use constraints. What I mean by constraints is when you're setting up your bid strategies, smart bidding strategies, you can set up bid limits if you're using maximize clicks. If you're using maximize conversions with a target CPA, you can set a target CPA. I only want you to try to get me leads in this cost per acquisition goal range. And you can also set a bid limit if you're using a portfolio bid strategy. So if you set constraints when you're using smart bidding, Google does not have the ability then to go outside of that. It will have to stay within that or try to stay within that. And Google does do a decent job at that. Sometimes I've seen it not respect the the constraints that I put, but for the most part, it will. What I'll say about these constraints is, if you have too many of them on your account, what will happen is sometimes it might choke the performance and might not allow you to spend. Like, let's say your target CPA goal is like super, super aggressive. You set it, your usual target, your usual cost per lead goal or your usual cost per lead is around $100. And then you're like, okay, Google, I want you to start getting me leads at $10. Well, if you set your cost per acquisition, target cost per acquisition to $10, Google's going to have a very, very, very hard time to get you leads at $10 when it was once getting you leads for $100. So it might not even spend. That's the challenge with constraints, but I highly recommend it if you're looking to keep your CPCs under control. Number 8 is don't dilute campaign themes. You want to make sure that you are segmenting your campaign so you're not putting too many themes in one. A good way to know how to theme out your account and segment your account is to look at if the different services that you have to offer, and each services that you have to offer, that could be its own ad group or its own campaign, depending on how much budget you want to allocate to it. But you don't want to over dilute and like mix them all together into like one ad group. And that's going to be really important. The last thing is testing different offers. You make sure that we have different offers available. This is not necessarily going to lead to lower cost per click, but it could lead to higher conversion rates and lower cost per lead. So look into testing out different offers at different times of the year and see what works well for you. And that's pretty much it for this video. If you have any questions on CPCs or anything about Google Ads and you would like me to respond, just drop a comment below. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.